Hello everybody, welcome into the kitchen yet again. Today I am having a little bit of fun with some leftovers. We've got some chicken, we've got some feta cheese, I've got hot peppers of course, and some spinach. So, you know what it seemed like a good idea? Well, you clicked the title, so you know what seemed like a good idea. I'm making a baked chicken, spinach, and feta dip. So, stick around, see how I do it, watch how amazingly awesome this turns out, and then go make one yourself. Alright, you can tell it's a winter video. Got the furnace just blasting away in the background, snow falling outside, but I'm not going to make you deal with that. So we're going to get started putting this together. It's super simple, but I forgot a mixing bowl. So, one second. I'm going to open this up. Like all of my cheese dip kind of recipes, I'm going to use half of a square of Philly. So, it's roughly 4 ounces. Now you can make these larger if you want, but there's just 2 of us eating it here, so there's not much point in that. Alright, gotta love the cheese. Dump that right into my mixing bowl here. So next I'm just going to throw in a couple of cubes of this feta here. I found when I tried this before that 4 was about right, but that's far from an accurate measurement of anything. Very subjective concept that. So, 4 and a bit. Next, I'm just going to add a little bit of this leftover chicken that we've got. I just pulled it right off the breast. It's so nice and easy to do that while it's cold. When I made this before, I simply shredded it with a fork like I do for my pulled pork. But I decided this time I'd like some larger chunks of chicken in there. So I'm just going to cube my chilled cooked chicken. And we'll put that into the bowl. So next we need a good healthy dose of spinach. I love spinach. All that iron. So I'm going to chop this up. Small-ish. Not necessarily tiny, because it doesn't need to be tiny, but you do want it to be chopped up a little bit. Now it's important to remember when you're cooking with spinach, especially when you're baking something with spinach, this is going to weep a lot of moisture into whatever you're making. So I have a plan for that. Stick around and I'll let you know what it is. Alright, so we've got our spinach chopped up. You can make it as large or as small as you like. Remember, the larger the pieces, the more likely you are to have stringers when you try and put it on your bread or your cracker or whatever. But I'm just piling it all in there. Now, here's the problem with spinach. Like I was just saying, spinach tends to weep when you're cooking it in things, which means it's going to add a lot of moisture. So how I deal with that is I make sure I put in plenty of well-dried ingredients in anything I'm going to bake with spinach, just to kind of compensate and act like a sponge inside there. So here we've got a bunch of the red onions that I grew in the gnome garden, and these are going to work great. But the thing with dried onions, the thing with dried onions is you want to make sure you get these chopped up nice and small, because sometimes when they reconstitute, they have like a papery, cardboardy kind of texture that's just not, it's not fun. I mean, it doesn't taste bad or anything, but it does take away from your dish a little bit. So I cut it, I crush it, I break it up as small as I can without finding the spice grinder, which would be really bad for it at this point anyway, because that thing is permanently hot peppered now. But here you go, crushed up dried onions, like I said, to absorb that moisture. Dump those in there. And then, of course, speaking of hot peppers, the infamous little yellow jar. Spoonful of pain. Gotta love these condiment spoons. Perfect for dishing out hot pepper powders. I have no idea what size it is though. It's roughly that big. Next is really just as simple as mix this up. I love using a fork for things like this because you can basically just kind of slide it over your cream cheese and mix it through. I think an egg beater or a mixer would probably work just fine for this. I just don't like to plug things in if I don't have to, so that's another reason I do it this way. I'll get back to you once I've got this all kind of mixed up and mixed through. Doesn't take but about, 4 or 5 minutes of mixing. And trust me, it's time well spent when you get around to eating this. So here we have a look at it, what it looks like, pretty much all mixed up. Now we're almost ready. This is a great time to start preheating your oven or your toaster oven. If you're making a small dip, I strongly recommend a toaster oven. Save on the electricity. Alright, now once you've got this patted into your oven safe dish, and like for a larger version you could use like a casserole dish or even a pie plate really. But you don't want it too deep because then, you know, people are going to burn themselves trying to get your amazingly awesome tasty dip. Just put a little bit of grated cheddar or whatever your preferred cheese is on top. I was thinking this might be really good with Parmesan, but we don't have any. And then that's basically good to go. Now we're going to throw this in the toaster oven at 350 degrees for the first 20 minutes and then 400 degrees for the last 5 minutes. But we'll check back a couple times during that. Alright guys, and this message goes basically to the males that are watching this. While this is cooking, this is a really good time to do your dishes. Because if you don't do the dishes, you're going to get in trouble. Now, I'm not going to direct this to the women because you guys seem to instinctively already know this. The dishes got to get done. Guys, clean up after yourself when you cook. Alright, I'm going to go do some dishes. Alright, now with the dishes done, we can take a look and see how this is doing. That only took about 15 minutes, guys. Just saying. So this has been about 15 minutes so far. Going to be another 5 minutes at 350, and then like I said, I'm going to bump it up to 400 for the last 5 minutes. Looks good though. So here we are after the full 20 minutes at 350. I'm now going to turn it up to 400. And I'm going to shove our little toasty buns in there beside it to warm up for dipping in it. And in 5 minutes, this is lunch. Alright, so here we have the finished product. We've got delicious warmed buns beside our chicken and spinach dip. I strongly recommend giving this a try, but if you get addicted, hey man, it's not my fault, okay? I just pushed it. I didn't necessarily make you do it. Yeah, that's it. Alright, well I guess I need to do the gratuitous tasting shot, and then you guys need to make this yourself. But like I said, do your dishes, alright? Alright. Alright, so here we are. This is absolutely delicious. I tried it yesterday and we're making it again today, so that gives you a hint as to what I'm in for here. But you know what? I forgot a spoon. One second. Alright, armed with the serving utensil because this did just come out of the oven and it is pretty hot still. Just put that on there. Poor dog, he always gets so excited when he hears these things, but he's not allowed to have them. Alright, so yeah, if you're like me and you're taking this straight out of the oven, just be advised, it's liquid cheese. It's going to be really, really hot, okay? But sometimes the burn is worth it. This is delicious. I'm going to finish this up, call Shocks in for lunch, and yeah, I strongly recommend giving this a try. It looks much better in real life than it does on this camera, but it tastes fabulous either way.